Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Tina. It's time for a daily devotional. Today, we're going to listen to a longer passage of God's words about fame and gain and knowledge. Do you know that knowledge is a way that Satan corrupts man? And knowledge can be a good thing, depending on how we use it and the control it could actually take over us. So let's listen to this passage of God's words.
Daily Words of God. During the process of man's learning of knowledge, Satan employs all manner of methods, whether it be telling stories, simply giving them some individual piece of knowledge, or allowing them to satisfy their desires or ambitions. What road does Satan want to lead you down? People think there is nothing wrong with learning knowledge, that it is entirely natural. To put it in a way that sounds appealing, to foster lofty ideals or to have ambitions is to have drive, and this should be the right path in life. Is it not a more glorious way for people to live if they can realize their own ideals or successfully establish a career? By doing these things, one can not only honor one's ancestors, but also has the chance to leave one's mark on history. Is this not a good thing? This is a good thing in the eyes of worldly people, and to them it should be proper and positive. Does Satan, however, with its sinister motives, take people on to this kind of road, and that's all there is to it? Of course not. In fact, no matter how lofty man's ideals are, no matter how realistic man's desires are, or how proper they may be, all that man wants to achieve, all that man seeks for, is inextricably linked to two words. These two words are vitally important to the life of every person, and they are things Satan intends to instill in man. What are these two words? They are fame and gain. Satan uses a very subtle kind of method, a method very much in concert with people's notions, which is not at all radical, through which it causes people to unknowingly accept its way of living, its rules to live by, and to establish life goals and their direction in life. And in doing so, they also unknowingly come to have ambitions in life. No matter how grand these life ambitions may seem, they are inextricably linked to fame and gain. Everything that any great or famous person, all people in fact, follow in life relates only to these two words, fame and gain. People think that once they have fame and gain, they can then capitalize on those things to enjoy high status and great wealth, and to enjoy life. They think fame and gain are a kind of capital that they can use to obtain a life of pleasure-seeking and wanton enjoyment of the flesh. For the sake of this fame and gain which mankind so covets, people willingly, albeit unknowingly, hand over their bodies, minds, all that they have, their futures and their destinies, to Satan. They do so without even a moment's hesitation, ever ignorant of the need to recover all that they have handed over. Can people retain any control over themselves once they have taken refuge in Satan in this way and become loyal to it? Certainly not. They are completely and utterly controlled by Satan. They have completely and utterly sunk into a quagmire and are unable to free themselves. Once someone is mired in fame and gain, they no longer seek that which is bright, that which is righteous, or those things that are beautiful and good. This is because the seductive power that fame and gain have over people is too great. They become things for people to pursue throughout their lives, and even for all eternity without end. Is this not true? Some people will say that learning knowledge is nothing more than reading books, or learning a few things that they do not already know, so as not to lag behind the times, or be left behind by the world. Knowledge is only learned so they can put food on the table for their own future, or to provide the basic necessities. Is there any person who would endure a decade of hard study just for the basic necessities, just to resolve the issue of food? No, there are none like this. So why does a person suffer these hardships for all these years? It is for fame and gain. Fame and gain are waiting for them in the distance, beckoning them, and they believe that only through their own diligence, hardships, and struggles can they follow the road that will lead them to attain fame and gain. Such a person must suffer these hardships for their own future path, for their future enjoyment, and to gain a better life. What on earth is this knowledge? Can you tell me? Is it not rules of living instilled in people? Rules that Satan teaches them in the course of their learning of knowledge? Is it not life's lofty ideals instilled into men by Satan? Take, for example, the ideas of great people, the integrity of the famous or the brave spirit of heroic figures. Or take the chivalry and kindness of the protagonists and swordsmen in martial arts novels. Are these not all ways in which Satan instills these ideals?
Yes, they are.
These ideas influence one generation after another, and the people of each generation are brought to accept these ideas, to live for these ideas, and to pursue them endlessly. This is the way, the channel, through which Satan uses knowledge to corrupt man. So after Satan has led people to this road, is it still possible for them to worship God? Do the knowledge and thought instilled in man by Satan contain any shred of worshiping God? Do they hold anything that belongs to the truth? Do they contain anything of fearing God and shunning evil?
No, they do not.
You seem a little uncertain, but no matter. So long as you recognize that fame and gain are the two key words that Satan uses to entice people onto the path of evil, then that is enough. Let us briefly review what we have discussed so far. What does Satan use to keep man firmly within its control?
Fame and gain.
So Satan uses fame and gain to control man's thoughts, until all people can think of is fame and gain. They struggle for fame and gain, suffer hardships for fame and gain, endure humiliation for fame and gain, sacrifice everything they have for fame and gain, and they will make any judgment or decision for the sake of fame and gain. In this way, Satan binds people with invisible shackles, and they have neither the strength nor the courage to throw them off. They unknowingly bear these shackles and trudge ever onward with great difficulty. For the sake of this fame and gain, mankind shuns God and betrays him and becomes increasingly wicked. In this way, therefore, one generation after another is destroyed in the midst of Satan's fame and gain. Looking now at Satan's actions, are its sinister motives not utterly detestable? Maybe today you still cannot see through Satan's sinister motives because you think one cannot live without fame and gain. You think that if people leave fame and gain behind, they will no longer be able to see the way ahead, no longer be able to see their goals, that their futures will become dark, dim, and gloomy. But slowly, you will all one day recognize that fame and gain are monstrous shackles that Satan uses to bind man. When that day comes, you will thoroughly resist Satan's control and thoroughly resist the shackles Satan uses to bind you. When the time comes that you wish to throw off all the things Satan has instilled in you, you will then make a clean break with Satan, and you will truly loathe all that Satan has brought to you. Only then will mankind have a real love and yearning for God.
God's words are pretty clear. There's a lot of good points in this passage about an example is like during the process of man's learning of knowledge, Satan steps in and he employs many manners and methods of whether it be like telling stories, giving individual a piece of knowledge, or allowing us to satisfy our desires or ambitions, right? So knowledge is instilled within the mind and the heart of man, and because sometimes we don't know how to use it, it can overtake us, it can become what leads and guides us in life, and also it can lead us away from God. But Satan has an objective when it comes to knowledge. So what road does Satan want to lead us down? Right? So we think there's nothing wrong with learning knowledge, that it's very natural, which, like I said, knowledge can be good, but according to if it's going to control us. So to put it a way that is appealing, we can start to have these lofty ideals and ambitions, and to have drive, and we always believe that this is the right path in life, that we need to make something of ourselves. We need to go out in the world and we need to stand out. We need to be above the rest, right? So we start to have our own ideals and successfully establish a career. But in the process of doing these things, it can overtake us, right? So in the eyes of man, gaining a lot of knowledge, it's a good thing in the worldly view, right? And it should be proper and positive. And if you don't have this knowledge, you're looked down upon in the world as, oh, you'll be nothing. You'll never have a good career. You'll never be able to make nothing of yourself. So it starts to put a tag on us. If we don't have knowledge, then we're useless. But is that the same in the eyes of God? We're going to look at that later. So Satan uses a very subtle kind of method that's in line with our notions, with our wants, with the fleshly desires, right? It's not a radical way to corrupt us. It's a very slow way that it overtakes the mind, and we start to think, oh, this is great. I'm learning some knowledge. I'm going to school. I'm going to be able to go be a doctor or something real big, and I'm going to get a good job. Right? And so we start to accept this way of living and the rules that comes along with it to live by. So we establish these life goals. It establishes our direction in life. And we come to have ambitions, right? And these ambitions, they actually become linked to a certain specific thing, which is fame and gain. And fame and gain is something that it controls us. Right? We think that once we have fame and gain, we can capitalize on things, enjoy this high status, a great life, great wealth, right? And fame and gain is a capital that we can use to obtain a life of pleasure and enjoyment of the flesh. So what happens? if it overtakes us, what happens? Where's God in this plan? God is pushed to the side. Why? Because now we don't have time for God, right? When we're seeking fame and gain, we're seeking a good job in our career. People's like, oh, I don't have time. And then they don't have time for their family. They don't even have time for the necessities of life. So for the sake of fame and gain, which we covet, we unknowingly hand our bodies, our minds, and all that we have and our futures over to Satan. And we do so without even hesitation. We're ignorant of the need to recover it, of everything that we've handed over, because now we end up becoming bound by these shackles, right? So we don't really have any control over ourselves once we've taken this path of seeking the fame and gain. We become loyal to it, and we're completely and utterly controlled by Satan. And so once we're mired in this fame and gain, we no longer seek things that are bright. We become deceitful. We end up lying. We start to distance ourselves maybe from certain people. We break our relationships. It depends, because we might become arrogant, selfish, greedy. So we don't seek things that are beautiful and good. We seek things of the world. And it's something that is very hard to break free of, because we become shackled by it. And thinking about, the Great Depression, or when things go bad, when people have this money and when they can't make money, they forget about God. And they turn to depression, they turn to pills, they turn to all these different things, and maybe end up committing suicide because they don't see no way forward without this fame and gain that has controlled them. They feel they have lost their life. And it's a very bad thing. So why do we suffer for this fame and gain, right? Why do we suffer for it? Because we end up becoming controlled by it, because that's all we know. We don't have the truth. So we end up worshiping this fame and gain. And like I said, there is no time for God. There's no time to be obedient to God, because God is actually put to the side. And there's a Bible prophecy that says, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. So who seeks that? Even God's words reveal that, that in life, who works just for food, right? Because people think, oh, I'm going to gain some knowledge so I can have a career and I can support myself. But once we learn to support ourselves, who really goes out there to work just for the necessities in life? Nobody. Because the more you make, the more you want. The more debt you get into, so the more you have to keep striving to seek this fame and gain. It's a never-ending cycle. But in the beginning, it's great, especially when you're young and you're starting out. But when you get older, you realize, wow, what I spend all my time doing? I spent my time controlled by seeking this fame and gain. So the struggle for fame and gain, we're willing to suffer hardship. We're willing to endure humiliation and to sacrifice everything, even give up the time with our family, because we think maybe at one point we're going to make them a better life. And that's where I went with mine, of thinking at some point I would have time to spend with my family. So I spent a lot of time trying to make money to give them a good life. And before I knew it, my kids were moving out. And I lost 18 years and thought, wow, where are you going? And they told me I'm going to live my own life. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Now I have more time, but they didn't have time for me because they're just starting out in their life. So it's a repetitious thing. It's generation after generation. People are sucked into this fame and gain. So we accept these shackles, and then we turn around and we put these shackles right on our kids, generation after generation. So nobody's free of it. And we can look at the world today. How many people actually truly give their lives to worship God? How many people put God first in their life before fame and gain? Not many, because we have to live and we have to survive in this world. So we feel that we have to go out and make this money. We can't just make enough just to survive, because we need the extras. We need to go out and have dinners. We need to go out maybe on vacation, have a nice car, have a nice house, and these are kind of like shackles from the desires of the flesh over time. But really, we know that God will supply for our every need, right? So one day we would come to recognize this fame and gain, that they're really these invisible shackles. And when we finally realize that, we'll be able to try to get rid of them. But trying to get rid of them is a challenge. And that's what I'm trying to do, because I find myself very controlled by it. And it takes control of your mind. It can take control of your thoughts. And it can draw you away from God. It can suck you in. And it has control of you. So to fight this off is to fight for your life, to fight back for your life, to fight against the fear that it puts in you, that am I going to survive? Right? So fame and gain causes fear in you, thinking that I'm not going to be able to survive in life if I don't have this money. And it's not really about money. It ends up being about status, reputation, wanting to be the best. So there's so many different things it causes in our everyday life. And you know, I'm really struggling with this myself, and I see that it's a real struggle. Some people don't have that struggle as bad as others, but I have it pretty bad when it comes to business, being self-employed and wanting to be the best at everything. So I find it as a fight, and I find that only through God's words can I really see the control it has over me, and to help me to become stronger, to try to overcome it. But I see that it's going to be a process of success and failure, bit by bit, chipping at this fame and gain, bit by bit, to let it go. Because God has arranged many different environments for me, and I keep falling into seeing that it has control over me. But I do feel me becoming a little bit stronger as God arranges the different environments. So I really like this passage of words, because it's something, it shows us how sinister and how cunning Satan really is, and how Satan overtakes man's mind. Because knowledge is a good thing, but when it controls you like this, and it puts these invisible shackles on you, and you cannot let go of it, then it's a problem, right? And it depends on what we're seeking within. Are we seeking status, reputation? Are we seeking different things? Does it draw us farther away from God? Almost everybody it does. So it can be a pretty negative thing if we're not aware of it. It takes for God to reveal these things for us to really see how knowledge can become a tool that Satan uses to corrupt the mind and heart of man, and a way how it uses it to draw us away from God, to keep us busy being under Satan's yoke, right? So yeah, so I hope you like this passage of words today. And if you'd like to share anything, please feel free to do so if you have this issue too, because it's always good to come together to share our experiences and maybe how we deal with these different things in our daily lives. So yeah, so that's all I have today, and that's all I have to share. But anyways, we'll see you next time. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you for watching. And if you like our video, please click on the like and subscribe button. Hope to see you next time.